Can you guess what I made this pedestal planter out of? It's actually a thrifted floor lamp, and this project is so easy for you to recreate for your porch or patio. After removing the cord and the socket, I used zip ties to attach a wire basket to the top. Then I added a cocoa liner and all of my favorite annuals that are just going to spill over the edges and cascade down all summer long.
Hey guys, welcome back to HGTV Handmade with me, Marianne. So it's no secret that I have had some failure in the past when I have tried to make a plant stand. In actuality, what was happening was this. It literally hit me in the face. Let's just have a moment of silence for that project. But today, I'm getting back on the horse. I'm gonna show you how to make a super easy plant stand that is guaranteed to work. Okay, I'm not gonna say guaranteed because inevitably someone will mess it up. But it is very likely to work if you follow these directions. I'm cement my hand, my mouth. You ready to get started? Yes, yes, yes. Let's go. So guys, the thing I love about this project is all of the materials are really accessible, really easy to find, and we start with good old 5-gallon bucket. I mean, you probably have one of these out in your garage, but if you don't, they only cost a couple of dollars at the hardware store. Grab a yardstick and a permanent marker, and we're going to mark 2.5 inches up from the bottom, and that's going to be the thickness of our cement top. Now it's time to put some gloves on. You always want to wear gloves when you're working with cement or concrete. It's really hard on your skin. All right, now we're just going to fill about up to our line with our rapid set cement. Okay, so we have all of our cement in the bucket. For this size bucket, it was roughly 5 quarts, but whatever size you use, as long as the base is about 2.5 inches thick, you'll be in business. Before we add our water, let's talk about our dowel rods. These are going to be the legs of the plant stand, and we're just going to stick them in right after we mix it. Because this is rapid set cement, we want to move pretty quickly, so go ahead and have these cut to the length you need. These are about 16 inches long, and have some strips of heavy duty tape. These are going to tape the legs in place once we stick them into the cement. Now it's time to add our water. How much water you add is really dependent on the directions on your cement, so just follow the directions. This calls for about a 4-to-1 ratio. Do you hear that bubbly?
That's a really fun noise.
That's really exciting. All right, just grab a dowel rod or a sturdy stirring stick and start stirring. Double, double, toil and trouble. Oh, look at you, my pretty. And your little dog, too. So while you're stirring, what we're looking for is to get all the lumps out, and you're looking for a consistency like runny pancake batter. Now this will start to set up pretty quickly, so we don't want to dilly-dally too much. First, we're going to lightly tap it to get the air bubbles out. Remember last time I did this? And drop it on the table. Is it in my hair? I don't know my own strength. That was a good time. Got plaster in my hair. That was fun. All right, so just lightly, a few taps. You'll see some air bubbles come up. It's all very satisfying. Now it's time to grab our dowel rods. Now, the great thing about this is if your dowel rods are all about the same length, you don't really have to worry about them being perfect. You just want them to be evenly spaced. Coming out from the center, grab a piece of tape, tape that in place. can see that divides the bucket into thirds. All right, so we're just gonna leave these in place, and then this cement takes at least 1 hour to cure, but you wanna make sure and follow the directions on whatever you're using. So I'll see you guys in an hour. All right, guys, our cement has had a couple of hours to cure, so now it's time to take it out of the bucket. All right, so to do this, you wanna grab a rubber mallet, flip this over, tap it pretty firmly on the sides, and eventually it should just slip right out of the bucket. Nope. Still in there. So once you've kind of hammered on the outside, you can flip it over and you can kind of stretch the bucket. You'll see it start to loosen around the edges.
That has been sitting overnight, so it might really be in here.
You want me to?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I don't need no man. I'm a strong, independent woman. Remember back at the beginning when I was like, guaranteed to work. I think I did it. I think I did it. I think I did it. I think I did it.
Oh no!
Oh,
no!
no.
No!
Pull it out.
Damn plant stain!
That was amazing. That was the best one too.
I'm cementing my hand in my mouth.
Oh my god.
We made 3 of them. Look, swing the camera around and show. It works.
Danielle's like, I don't know what to do anymore. Oh shoot, that's great. Okay, so Drew, go ahead and cut.
And that, my friends, is why we always make multiples. Now, you guys could leave this just as is. I mean, I'm kind of feeling this concrete and wood thing we have going. It feels very Scandi, but I am going to tape it off and add some color, kind of a color dipped effect, because we have 3 of these, and as a grouping, they look really pretty with a little pop of color. Before we do that, I'm gonna grab a sanding block and just smooth the edges a little bit. The roughness is honestly fine, but this will keep some of the little crumbles on the edge from falling off. I'm painting this with chalk paint, but acrylic craft paint would also work. Or you could use a cement stain or dye. Keep in mind, if you're going to use this outdoors, you want to use an appropriate paint. And then you just want to let that dry completely before you remove the tape. Well, guys, we made it. We have an intact plant stand for once. But I want to hear what you guys think. Do you secretly like it when I fail? Because I know my team not so secretly loves it. I don't know if you could tell by all of the laughing. Why don't you guys let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you next time. I think this just needs a plant. Oh, it's heavy. My cat is a literal baby. I have to hold him like this so he doesn't freak out. Are you okay? We're gonna do this intro, buddy, together. Hey everyone, welcome. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to Handmade. I'm Gabriella, and recently I have fallen in love with houseplants. Cat friendly, of course. So obviously that means I now have an obsession with adorable planters. But something that I noticed is that these can actually be kind of pricey, and especially if you have a lot of houseplants, this can add up. So I tasked myself with upgrading regular terracotta pots into super cute and trendy designs, and I narrowed it down to 3 of my favorites. So today I'm going to show you how to transform regular terracotta pots into super cute planters that will definitely match your design. And the best part is that they cost like $5 each. So let's get started. For the first one, I'm going to use temporary tattoos to design this pot. All you'll need are temporary tattoos, a terracotta pot, decoupage, and a sponge brush. Choose the tattoos you want to style the pot with and cut them to size. Place them onto the pot and press them with a damp sponge brush or cloth for at least 30 seconds. The instructions should tell you exact timing on the packet. Now, slowly peel off the paper and the tattoo should stick onto the pot. If it doesn't, keep the damp towel on for a few more seconds. Do as many as you want until you have your design. Once you're done, the last step is to just seal it all in with some decoupage glue. I'm using one that's for outdoors since I'll probably want to put some of these outside for a bit. And that's it, you're done. Look how cute. For this next one, I'm designing this pot with paper napkins. All you'll need are a terracotta pot, decoupage, a paintbrush, paint, a sponge brush, and cute paper napkins. For the first step, I'm painting the pot white and letting it dry completely. This is completely optional, I just like how the white looks with the napkin designs I chose. Next, take your napkin and separate the layers. Usually, paper napkins come with about 2 to 3 layers. These have 3. You'll only want to use the top one. Cut out whatever design you want to use for your pot. I'm going to be using these pretty butterflies, the bees, and some flowers. Now that you've cut out what you wanted, spread a thin layer of decoupage glue on the pot and place the cutout pieces on it and smooth it out as gently as possible. Put a little bit more of decoupage on the top of it to seal it in and just continue on with your design. Make sure everything is covered in a thin layer of decoupage. And that's it, you're done. So cute and easy. Okay, for this last one, I'm just using a Sharpie to upgrade the pot. All you'll need are a terracotta pot. I painted mine, but again, that's optional, and different colored Sharpies. Now, for this, it really doesn't matter if you're not much of an artist because, trust me, I'm definitely not, but this will be super easy. All I'm doing is drawing a cute little face first. I'm just fixing the lips a little. And now they look super cute. Next, I'm drawing small triangles at the top to go around the whole pot. Mine is definitely not perfect, but I kind of like it that way. And that's it. Look how easy that was, and it came out super adorable. You can do this in under 5 minutes. Hey guys, welcome back to Handmade with me, Marianne. So you might recall a few months back we took a little field trip to the world's longest yard sale. And everybody picked out some great projects. You've seen a few of them. Let's see, Jill turned her mysterious basket into a lamp. Oh! Liz has embroidered a tennis racket. And Danielle is going to be coming up in a few weeks as well. But for now, it's my turn to show you what I'm going to do with this. I bought this Birdcage. I just thought it had the cutest little shape. I loved the seashell on the front. And I even like the kind of chippy, peely patina that it has on it. So today, I'm going to show you how to turn an antique Birdcage into a succulent planter. And since this project is pretty simple, I thought I would also give you a few tips on taking care of succulents yourself, because let me tell you, this whole lie that succulents are like the easiest plant to care for, well, we're gonna unpack some things today. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is take this apart and wipe it down with a damp rag. I'm actually going to remove this plastic piece here because I think this is gonna give a great place for succulents to kind of trail out. So I'm just gonna toss that, and then I'm gonna pull this tray out. I'm just gonna grab a damp rag and wipe everything down. This is really just to get any dust, dirt. Now this tray is actually gonna have the plant tray sitting inside it, so I'm really not too worried about it having a little rust or a little dirt. I just don't want anything that the sealant is gonna stick to, because that's what we're doing next. This is also a good opportunity to remove anything weird like price tags or these twist ties. So we're just gonna toss those. And now just, again, wipe down the outside. So the next thing we're going to do is give it a coat of a clear sealer. This is just a clear, non-yellowing, protective coating. Non-yellowing is important, especially if you have something that's going to be in the sun. So you just want to give everything a coat or two of the clear sealant. It will look exactly the same. And of course, if you want to paint your birdcage, go for it. But I'm really feeling this kind of farmhouse, chippy, peely vibe. So I'm just going to step outside and give this a coat of our sealant. All right, so we've given everything a coat of the sealant, given it an hour to dry. Everything is completely dry to the touch. So now it's time for the fun part, the plants. I'm gonna set this aside and grab all of our succulents. Okay, so obviously if you're trying to turn a birdcage into a planter, well, it's unlikely that you have my exact birdcage. So you're gonna need to kind of experiment a little to figure out a tray that fits in the bottom. Now, I got very lucky, and it just so happens that a disposable aluminum pan actually fits pretty much perfectly. So this is what we're gonna use as the base for our succulent garden. Now, a few tips about succulents. They are desert plants. They really don't like it to be too humid, and they don't like a lot of moisture in their roots. So we're gonna start by laying down a bed of rocks and a little bit of perlite to help promote good drainage. You can use any kind of rock for this. You don't need anything special or super expensive. That looks good. And now we're just gonna give it a layer of perlite. Perlite is great for promoting drainage, and it's also super lightweight, which is really nice when you're making a hanging planter. All right, and we also have some succulent potting soil. Now, that is important. You can buy this at any garden center, but you want potting soil specifically for succulents. It has a lot of sand in it. It also has a lot of like peat moss. It makes it very light. Again, very good drainage, helps you really regulate the moisture in your planter. But I'm not gonna add that yet because the succulents are also planted in some dirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them in place and then fill in with dirt as needed. Now it really is time for the fun part. You get to kind of pick your plants and place them in the planter. I'm gonna put on some gloves because succulents and cacti can be spiny, so it's nice to protect your hands. If you don't have any gardening gloves, here is a little tip for you. You can actually wrap spiky cacti or succulents in a paper bag to place them in place. The spikes won't go through the paper, because sometimes they even go through gloves. It's, you know, love is pain, right? And I love you. All right, so I've got here an assortment of succulents and cacti. A cactus is a succulent, so they will grow really well together, and that is key. You have to plant succulents with other succulents. If you try to plant these with, say, a fern or another tropical plant, one of the two is going to die. Either the fern is going to be severely underwatered or the succulents are going to be severely overwatered. There's no winning in that scenario, so set yourself up for success and choose plants that like to grow together. So now I'm just going to kind of start placing things, keeping in mind that each end of my bird cage is where I have those openings that are perfect for these trailing succulents. So another thing to keep in mind if you're putting together a succulent garden is to choose a great variety of shapes and textures and colors and size. It's going to be so visually pleasing. It's going to really make you look like a pro. I am definitely making this on the crowded side because I just want it to look really full. But, you know, as time goes on, you may need to pull some out. Some may not do as well. You know, it's just kind of how it is with these. I'm loving it. So now we're just going to one by one take them out of their containers. And this is where you definitely want gloves. So as you're planting it, break up the potting soil. You want to kind of encourage those roots to spread out, make friends. I'm going to start with the biggest ones in the center first and then tuck the little ones in around. And you do have to be gentle with succulents. They're tender little fellas. It's normal to talk to your plants like that, right? Like I definitely refer to my plants as beings worthy of love, just like you.
Bob Ross of plants.
I do feel like the Bob Ross of plants. Oh my God, that's like the best. It's like goals, really. Okay, this is looking good. I'm gonna go around and give some a little bit more potting soil. Again, succulent potting soil. I'll set you up for success. All right, so now it is time to put this inside this. And this tray, again, fits perfectly inside it, but this tray has to then slide under it. It's a little tricky. It's a little process. All right, so you're just going to try to carefully tuck everybody inside, leave no man behind. If anything has moved, you can take a skewer or something and kind of gently push things back in place. All right, and now the last step for assembly is going to be sliding this tray back underneath. It will get in there. All right, there we go. All right, so you may be wondering to yourself, Marianne, you did not water any of these. They're totally gonna die. Well, let's take a moment to talk again about succulents and water. These are desert plants. The reason they have that delightfully kind of like fleshy appearance is because they hold a lot of water in their petals. So instead of drizzling this whole thing, you know, with a watering can and just soaking the roots and guaranteeing that your succulents will probably not live to the end of the month, we're gonna give them a nice spritzing with this little spritzer. And you can also grab a pastry brush or a paintbrush at this point and brush off any dirt that has maybe fallen into the spines or down into the succulents. It doesn't hurt anything, but it looks nicer if you get rid of it. And now grab a plant mister. This one is obviously highly adorable, but you can just use a regular spray bottle. Just make sure it has clean water inside it. And we're just gonna give everybody a nice little shower. The nice thing about a mister is it's very hard to overwater with a mister. If you don't have a mister, if you do just want to water them, Water them very sparingly. Remember, we don't have drainage holes in the bottom of that tray, so any water you put in there is just going to sit in the bottom. The number one reason succulents die is because people love them too much. Only you can prevent succulent death. It's weird, I got weird. It's fine. Plants really bad. They just bring it out of me, I can't help it. And now, I think this is ready for my front porch. So obviously you could hang this. It is heavy from the plants and the rocks and everything. So you want to use a really sturdy chain to hang it. But I actually think it'd be so pretty just on a side table on your porch. Well, I have to say, when I picked up this little vintage bird cage, I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do with it, but I think turning it into a planter was a great idea. All we need now is a porch. I'll see you next time.
So we found this really cute old patio chair. It's really not gonna serve much use as a patio chair anymore. It has no seat. The feet are actually totally rusted out, but we think it has a really cute shape to it, and we really like this chair.
So for years we've been turning these old chairs into planters. So we're gonna take this one and show you how to make it the perfect succulent planter. We love succulents because they're super easy to take care of, which is a big plus for me. Jolie loves them because they're beautiful and they really just kind of look good in any setting. We want to give the chair a little bit of color, so we're going to do our favorite dry brushing technique with our favorite color, turquoise. So dry brushing is really one of the easiest ways to paint. You just get a little bit of paint on your brush, not much, and then you just start doing this, kind of hitting all the high spots, and just don't put too much pressure because you don't want it to be solid.
But I also love the fact that you still see the rust coming through because we love rust. So you've got the rust, plus you've got turquoise, and it's going to be a quirky little planter, so it's a whole package.
The great thing about dry brushing is it doesn't use much paint and it dries really fast.
It's actually already dry and we're ready to move on with this project. So the next step is we're actually going to form a basket where the seat used to be. We're going to use chicken wire, and this is what we're going to plant in. All right, so this is just basic poultry netting or chicken wire that you can get from your local feed store. Just kind of place it over your seat and ballpark what size you want, and then we're going to cut it. We're going to cut bigger than we need, and then we're going to push it down and form it in here.
So to cut this, the best thing to use is just a pair of wire cutters.
You might want to throw on your garden gloves or your work gloves for this project because the ends of this wire are pretty sharp. It just makes it easier to kind of manhandle it. The goal here is to make a concave basket that you can plant in.
So then we're going to attach this with zip ties. We use zip ties because they're super easy to use and you can get something really tight.
So now that we have it zip tied all the way around, we're just going to cut off the excess chicken wire. So the first step once you get your basket built is to add sheet moss, and you can buy this really basically anywhere. We just bought a couple of bags. We lined the bottom of the poultry netting with it. It holds in moisture and it also gives it a really cool earthy kind of mossy look since it's moss. After that, we're gonna line it with a little burlap, and then we're gonna add our potting soil. Because we're planting succulents, we're gonna add a little perlite to our potting mix just to help with the drainage. So now that we have enough soil in here, we're gonna start kind of placing our plants, and then we're gonna backfill with even more soil. So this part is just a lot of placing and then adding your soil to be able to keep it in one place. At this point, it's just kind of a matter of you want to add different layers and textures and colors. I really like the felt of these leaves versus the shiny on the others. So you kind of want to mix all these together to have a nice little mix. Our one little tiny purple guy. Let's put him right here.
And this one's cute.
Let's give him a good spot. I just broke the purple guy.
Does he go right there maybe?
Maybe.
Uh-oh, I just broke him too. Oh my gosh.
So the very last step right now is that we're taking all of this kind of sedum, this hanging moss that kind of trails more, and we're adding it to the very edge. So we're just filling in, we're poking it in all around the edge so it hangs over, it covers up this chicken wire and the zip ties, and it really looks awesome. So this is our awesome patio chair turned into now a really cool kind of mermaid garden succulent planter. And instead of putting this at the store we thought we were going to, I think I may have to steal it and take it home.
Did I mention that I love it?
I love it more.
Hey guys, so I was doing a little spring cleaning and found these out of use bowls and pans in my kitchen. So I decided to take a little concrete and turn them into beautiful custom planters for spring. Here's what you'll need. Protective gloves and a dust mask, a silicone gelatin mold or plastic bowl, a small plastic or metal bowl, fast setting concrete mix, water, nonstick cooking spray, and a rubber mallet. Decorative planters can be kind of boring or even worse, totally break your budget. So today I'm going to teach you how to make your own. First things first, we need to get our safety gear on. Concrete is super caustic and the dust can irritate your skin, lungs, and eyes. If you're working indoors, protective gloves and a dust mask will do the trick, but if you're outdoors in a windy environment, you'll want to wear some eye protection as well. Let's get to it. For a planter of this size, I'm using 6 cups of our quick setting concrete. And you want to add water a little bit at a time and mix it up until it's the consistency of cottage cheese. All right, once your concrete is thoroughly mixed, you can ditch the mask. All right, our concrete is mixed and ready to go. So now we're going to spray the inside of our mold with some cooking spray. And then the underside of our small bowl. This will help everything pop out cleanly when it's time to unmold. Once you've done that, it's time to add our concrete. Start with a nice layer on the bottom and then kind of work it up the sides. Once you've got that in, take your smaller bowl, press your smaller bowl in, kind of smoothing the top down. Then you're going to want to take a rock or some other kind of weight, put it in the middle of the smaller bowl just to keep it all weighed down and your surface nice and even. Let this sit overnight before unmolding. All right, our concrete has had time to set and now it's time to unmold it. You're going to start by, you might want a trowel to pop the inner bowl out and then carefully unmold your planter. If you're having trouble getting it unmolded, try giving it a light tap with your rubber mallet. The great thing about this project is you can scale it up or down to suit your needs. You could use a large plastic bowl to make a big planter or a small baking cup to make a tea light holder. It's really cute. Well, I think these are going to make a stellar spring centerpiece, and then once it warms up a little bit, I'm going to take them outside to dress up the deck. Guys, that's it for this week's episode of HGTV Crafternoon. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, and welcome back to HGTV Handmade with me, Marianne. So as you may or may not know, I live in the woods and we get a lot of bird traffic. So when I saw these adorable upcycled bird feeders on HGTV Happy, I just had to make one for myself. In fact, we made a whole bird buffet. Check it out.
You can make a wind chime out of anything. You can make it out of old metal pieces or parts or glass or tile or anything that makes a clinkety clankety sound. There are things that you can't make wind chimes with. That would include feathers, photographs, apples, oranges, various other fruits, pillows, sandwiches, cats, dogs. Fabric, socks, yeah, socks make terrible wind chimes, so there's that. What else makes a terrible wind chime? Hair. So now that you know some things that make terrible wind chimes, let me tell you what makes great wind chimes. Fired pieces of clay. Find somebody in your community who has a kiln who will let you fire it. You know, you make a new friend. It's just fun. This clay is a fun thing to work with because it's just dirt. So we're gonna cut some clay to get us started here. I wanna make some discs, so I'm just gonna roll some clay out. And check this out. This is a clay table that I made. It's just a piece of plywood that has canvas over the top. And the canvas that I have spread out keeps the clay from sticking. So if you try to work with clay, it's a good idea to make yourself one of these, or every time you go to peel your clay up, it will be stuck. I'm gonna use this little rolling pin. I'm gonna roll it out to be maybe, let's say, 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I'm gonna use this cutter to cut circles and try to make some discs. That's probably a little bit thick. This is gonna be too thick. I'd say right now it's about 1/4 of an inch. It's no good. The sound's gonna be flat. When you clank two thick pots together, they don't make a very pretty noise because it's so thick. But if you clink something thin, yes. That's probably an eighth of an inch thick, something like that. That's gonna be great. So I'm gonna cut a few of these. So if you have anything that's a circle or a disc, if you try to wrap it to make it more conic, it doesn't work. You have to relieve a piece of the material like this. Now, I can take my circle and I can fold it together like this to make a cone shape. I also need to create a space for the shoelace to come up through. So I'm gonna use my clay tool to make a hole. Now here's something else about clay that you might not know. It shrinks when you fire it. So this hole and this disc is actually gonna get about 10% smaller once all the moisture is eradicated and it turns to a ceramic. The next thing that has to happen with clay is I have to let it dry. I'm gonna set this stuff out in the open air to let it harden. Then I can put it in my kiln to let it dry. So I'll bake it to 2100 degrees first, which is really hot. Then I take it out and I'm gonna put a glaze on it to give it some color. Sounds pretty good. And then I have to put it back in there again to make it really, really ultra hard. While everything was baking, I just needed to cut up a hanging block to attach everything to. I'm really digging this blue. That's really pretty. This one, it's got some brown and some white, which is pretty cool. Kind of looks like a 1970s coffee mug. This is just the natural clay with no glaze or anything on it. All you gotta do is take some of your leather lace and we're gonna tie a knot at the bottom. String these puppies up in reverse. It's like a country farm in here. I need some chickens. Just come on in, have a glass of lemonade. Oh, mind the wind chime. Welcome to Brooklyn. That's for the tie. I want these to be close enough to clink, but far enough away to get some swing, so. How satisfying is that? This is probably one of my favorite things that I've made so far. I love this. It's really giving me that Zen vibe. So let me know what you think. If it's your favorite, let me know. If you like it, if you don't like it, let me know. Get out there, make a wind chime, feel the breeze.